Okay, get ready for the big one. It's deoxyribonucleic acid. Yeah, that's a mouthful, which is why everyone just calls it DNA. This is the molecule. It's what carries all the hereditary stuff, the genetic instructions, for you, for me, for your cat, even for the tree outside your window.
And here's the part that just blows my mind every time I think about it. It's all the same. Seriously, think about this for a second. The DNA in your brain cells is the exact same DNA that's in your skin cells. It's just one master blueprint, one set of instructions that your body uses for everything. How cool is that?
All right, so now we have a handle on what it is. But what does it actually look like? How is this blueprint built? For that, we've got to dive into Section 2 and get up close and personal with that iconic shape, the double helix. We're going to take apart its beautiful and honestly surprisingly simple structure.
You know, the easiest way to picture DNA is to think of a ladder, just a regular old ladder. Now imagine grabbing both ends of that ladder and twisting it. That spiral shape you get? That's the double helix. It's as simple as that. So let's look at the parts of this twisted ladder. The two long sides, the parts you'd hold on to, that's what we call the sugar phosphate backbone. It's super strong. But the real magic, the actual information, isn't on the sides, it's in the rungs, the steps of the ladder. These rungs are made up of pairs of things called nitrogenous bases. Now you might hear a fancy term for DNA thrown around, polynucleotide molecule. It sounds super intimidating, right? But it's actually really simple to break down. Poly just means many, and a nucleotide is just one building block. It's one piece of that sugar phosphate side rail with one of those base rungs attached. So a polynucleotide is just many of those building blocks all chained together. See? Not so scary.
Okay, so we've got our twisted ladder. But wait a minute. How can a ladder possibly store information? That's a great question, and it leads us right into Section 3, Life's Simple Code. And this is where things get, well, kind of unbelievable. We're about to see how just 4 little chemical letters are enough to write the entire instruction manual for all of life.
So that's the big puzzle, isn't it? How does this simple shape, this twisted ladder, hold the insanely complex code needed to build, a human being, or a whale, or anything really?
Well, the secret is something called Chargaff's rule. It's named after the guy who figured it out, and it's a game changer. What he discovered is that those 4 chemical bases on the rungs, their names are adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine, they don't just hook up with whatever's across from them. Nope, there's a very strict, very specific rule they have to follow. And here it is, the golden rule of DNA. Base A, which is adenine, will only ever pair up with base T, thymine. They're a perfect match. And base G, guanine, will only ever pair up with base C, cytosine. That's it. A with T, G with C. Always. No exceptions. That's the whole system.
I mean, just think about that for a second. A 4-letter alphabet, A, T, C, G, and 2 simple pairing rules. That's it. That's the whole foundation for the genetic code of everything, from you to an oak tree to the tiniest bacteria. It is literally the universal language of life on Earth.
But a blueprint is no good if you only have one copy, right? This brings us to what might be DNA's most amazing trick of all. Section 4, making a perfect copy. Get ready, because we're about to look at nature's ultimate photocopier, and it is seriously impressive. Think about it. Every single time one of your cells divides, which happens constantly for you to grow, to heal a cut, it needs to make a full, complete copy of its entire DNA blueprint. And it can't mess it up. It has to be a perfect copy. This whole process has a name, replication. So how does it pull this off? Well, the process is just so elegant. First up, unzip. A special molecule comes in and acts like a zipper, unwinding that double helix and pulling the 2 strands apart. Okay, step 2. Match. With the strands separated, new bases floating around come in and match up with their exposed partners. A finds a T, G finds a C, building a brand new strand. And finally, the most amazing part, step 3, proofread. Another little molecular machine goes along and checks for any mistakes, fixing them on the spot. And the end result? 2 perfect, identical DNA molecules where there was once only one. This quote really sums it all up perfectly, doesn't it? It is a molecule that stores information and can be copied almost perfectly time and time again. That's the whole ballgame. The ability to store the instructions and then copy them with such incredible accuracy, that's what makes life possible.
Okay, so for our last section, Section 5, let's pull the camera way back. We've seen the structure, the code, the copying, but what's it all for?
what is DNA's ultimate job? Let's see the master plan in action.
It really boils down to three main jobs. First, storing information. We've talked about that. It's the blueprint. Second, passing that information on. That's heredity, why you might have your mom's eyes. But the third one is what DNA is doing all day, every day. It's providing the instructions to build proteins. And proteins are the real workhorses of the cell. They do everything. They're the tiny machines that run the whole show.
So just let that sink in for a moment. This single, tiny molecule, coiled up so tightly you can't even see it, inside each of your cells, contains the complete and total set of instructions needed to build and operate you, your entire body. It's the ultimate biological computer.
And that's why this is so much more than just a molecule. It contains the history of all life that came before us, and it holds the blueprint for all life that will come after. It's an incredible story, stretching back billions of years, and it leaves us with this huge, exciting question. What are we going to learn from it next?